I don't see it.
Commissioner Daniels? I think so she's in the crowd somewhere. Okay.
In the cloud.
In the cloud.
Now we're in the cloud.
I said crowd.
Oh, okay. Say in the cloud.
Okay, Commissioners Court will please come to order. A quorum is present. All legal notices have been posted and this court is duly called. I need a motion to adjourn the court for the August term.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any unreadiness? All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of voting.
Aye.
Those who oppose, same sign.
Aye.
Chairs in the affirmative. Now I need a motion to open the court for the September term.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any unreadiness? All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of voting.
Aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, same sign. Chairs in the affirmative. Bailiff, will you please open the court?
All rise. Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session. The Honorable John Wiley Price presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
The invocation today will be given by a guest of Commissioner Dr. Elba Garcia.
Thank you, Commissioner Price, and our invocation will be given today by Reverend Vincent E. Gaddis. Reverend Gaddis was licensed and ordained to preach the gospel by the late Dr. E.K. Bailey at the Concord Missionary Baptist Church. He has a master's degree in Christian education from Dallas Theological Seminary. On June 6, 1995, the Reverend founded Youth Believing in Change, YBC, where he is executive director. For 21 years, Youth Believing in Change has given children from the inner city of Northeast Dallas the spiritual and educational foundation they need to succeed by serving hundreds of children each year in after-school and summer educational leadership and arts enrichment programs. Reverend Gaddis and his wife, Angela, have two teenage children. His daughter, Macaraya A. Gaddis, who is a senior at Booker T. Washington High School from the Visual and Performing Arts, and his son, Vincent E. Gaddis II, who attends Richardson High School. In October 2015, Reverend Gaddis and his wife, Angela, were honored as inspiring individuals at the Each Moment Matters luncheon, sponsored by Presbyterian Communities Foundation, where former First Lady Ms. Laura Bush spoke. Reverend, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garcia, Honorable John Wiley Price, and everyone. Let us pray. Father, you said in your word that we should lift up our hands in prayer for all those who are in positions of authority. And we know that your word says, Lord, that the powers to be are of God, and rulers are not a terror to good works. Lord, we thank you for their good works. We pray, Lord, that you would guard them against accusations and that you will vindicate them, Lord, of anything, Lord, that may try to come up against them in the roles in which you have duly sworn them to perform. God, we pray a special blessing upon them today, which is right in your word in Psalm 133, verses 1 through 3, that says, Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity, for it is like the ointment that ran down the bed of Aaron, even unto the hem of his garment, and there you commanded the blessing, life forevermore. And God, that means that when we come from different parts of the city, Lord, to represent those things that matter most to us, Lord, and we forget about our differences and we come together for a common cause, you bless it. So we thank you for your blessing upon this meeting today in the most strong and powerful name of Jesus Christ, who is Lord over all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Good morning and welcome to this session of the Dallas County Commissioners Court. We will be dealing with those matters that are on our posted agenda. We will then move into a briefing session for matters to be dealt with in a future court session. Now, before us, resolutions. The first will be Commissioner Dr. Teresa. Okay. Daniel, I just want to make sure she was ready. We got a lot of things going on here. It's okay.
Traffic willing and all the other things that go along.
First of all, good morning, and we begin with the resolution recognizing National Suicide Prevention Month. And there are a number of groups represented here. If they could please come forward. It's Suicide and Crisis Center of North Texas, the National Alliance on Mental Health, NAMI Dallas, the Dallas VA, AIDS Arms, Bank of America, the Senior Source, Dallas Police Department Crisis Intervention, Green Oaks Hospital, Mental Health America of Greater Dallas, the Council of Alcohol and Drug Abuse, Value Options, and I know that they are here in spirit, so thank you for coming. But be it remembered at a regular meeting of the Dallas County Commissioners Court, thank you, on the 6th day of September 2016, whereas suicide is an international public health issue that claims the lives of over 800,000 people worldwide. There's no single cause for suicide, though. Closely linked with mental illness, suicide prevention is not exclusively a mental health issue. Suicide is considered the most preventable public health tragedy. And whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court joins the nation in recognizing suicide as a public health problem and calls for action from government officials on all levels, public health workers, community leaders, residents, and stakeholders in sharing the responsibility of promoting suicide prevention on behalf of those who are suffering in silence. And whereas Suicide Prevention Month is September, National Suicide Prevention Week is September 5th, 2016 through September 11th, 2016, and World Suicide Prevention Day is on September the 10th. This year's theme is Connect, Communicate, and Care. Dallas County acknowledges Suicide Prevention Week and has named September 15th, 2016 as Dallas Suicide Prevention Awareness Day. And whereas today, suicide rates have reached a new high in nearly 30 years, with increases in almost all age, racial, and ethnic categories. However, the most marked increases are for middle-aged women, age 45 to 64, a 63% increase. For young girls, age 10 through 14, the rate tripled. For African American children aged 5 through 11, the rate has doubled. And American Indians has the sharpest increase of all the racial and ethnic groups, 89% for women and 38% for men. And whereas the Greater Dallas Suicide Prevention Coalition is dedicated to reducing the frequency of suicide attempts and deaths, as well as the pain of survivors affected by suicides of loved ones through educational programs, research projects, intervention services, and bereavement services. And whereas the Greater Dallas Suicide Prevention Coalition encourages initiatives based on the goals and activities contained in the National Strategy for Suicide Prevention, Zero Suicide of the National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention, and the Way Forward by the Action Alliance's Suicide Attempt Survivor Task Force. And whereas far too many individuals die by suicide each year, and most of these deaths are preventable. More than 500 lives were lost in the Greater Dallas area last year. It is important to ensure that individuals, friends, and families have access to resources they need. Together, we highlight messages of hope for those who are struggling with mental illness or suicide thoughts. Suicide is preventable. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Commissioners Court does hereby recognize this week, September 5 through 11, 2016 is Dallas Suicide Prevention Week and encourages all citizens of Dallas County to join the Greater Dallas Suicide Prevention Coalition and community leaders on Thursday, September 15th, 2016 at 10 a.m. in the lobby of Dallas City Hall to promote suicide awareness and prevention. Suicide prevention is everyone's business, and I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. And would you like to say a few?
Yes, as co-chair of the coalition, I want to thank the Commissioners Court, and I want to especially thank you, Dr. Daniel, for speaking for us on the 15th, and also we're very honored to have Eric Nadell the radio voice and Hall of Famer of the Texas Rangers, who will also be speaking about suicide, especially about the suicide of his friend Rusty Rose. Sorry, I thought maybe Margie had walked in behind me. She's coming from about 70 miles away, and I guess she's stuck in traffic. But I know that she would like to thank the court also for the court's help through all the years, and we hope that we have a nice crowd on the 15th. And what we do have done the last 3 years is have pairs of shoes representing the lost lives, and it's quite an experience when you walk in the room and you see more than 500 pairs of shoes and realize that a year ago people stood in those. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next, we'll have Employees of the Month. Will the Employees of the Month please come forward? And they are Miriam Villarreal from Criminal Justice, William Littlejohn from Facilities, Joel Lewis from Facilities, Ganesh Chavaramayar from Health and Human Services, Jimmy Partain from Public Works and Planning and Development, Jose Delgado from the Tax Office, and Rena Reyna from the Treasurer's Office. And good morning. And the resolution reads as follows. Whereas Dallas County employees are hardworking, dedicated, and play a vital role in achieving the goals and objectives set each year by the Commissioners Court, most employees perform above expectation and ensure that Dallas County continues to be a regional leader and a destination of choice for residents and businesses. And whereas Dallas County Commissioners Court authorized the creation of the Employee Recognition Program in 2012 to encourage recognition of dedicated employees who represent the best and the brightest of our workforce. And whereas the Dallas County Employee Recognition Program is consistent with the county's approved administrative plan, which states Dallas County is operationally a model governmental entity. These employees represent the exemplar employee Dallas County hopes to recruit and retain. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby salute the following employees for being selected as Employee of the Month in July 2016 for their respective departments and offers best wishes for continued success at Dallas County. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, any opposed?
I
Motion
vote
carries.
no.
Oh,
And I vote no not because of y'all. I vote no because it's, I know you don't mind getting this piece of paper, but we just went through talking about employees and how do you really recognize. I don't recognize you by giving you some words as opposed to giving you some compensation to show you how we really feel about you. So just when you look and see that no on there, it's because there's a lot of difference in giving you a piece of paper and then making the position that you're worth what we say you're worth.
thank you all. Anyone have any comments or appreciate you all very much.
Is that putting the money where your mouth is? It's still all of us working together to make Dallas County work.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
One at a time.
Anyway, it's my turn.
All right.
It's not going to be the
I'm sorry,
vote.
John, I've got two more that I'll just move for, two more on the agenda that I'll move for adoption, but will be read at different functions. The next one is in honor of Bishop Kevin Farrell, and will be read at his Red Mass celebration.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And the last one is,
Yeah, hold on.
what's the pass for you?
Yeah.
My screen's not. Okay, well,
Okay.
you ready? My screen's not working for some reason.
Yeah,
but-
no, we.
Nobody's is?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, ours is working, but go ahead on.
Okay, So the last resolution is declaring September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Dallas County, and I'll move that for adoption. It'll be presented at the function for that. All those in favor, signify.
No, withdraw. Second goes to him. Mr. Kentry.
Okay.
All right. Now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. That being said, while my voter ID law historic change is on there, I'm still carrying it forward with somebody out of Washington. But I am substituting that today for an employee, John Clark. So I'll ask that John Clark come forward and that delegation that.
Commissioner Control has a resolution?
No, go ahead. We're good. We got to finish
I thought you-
Commissioner Daniels.
That's
and then-
okay, you can go ahead and we'll go back.
How many more? Do y'all have?
We have 21 resolutions.
I don't think so. But let
It
me.
seems like.
We had only 10.
Okay, only 10, yeah.
Big 12.
John, come on.
Yeah, John. I can't believe John is
Maybe I
leaving.
didn't get it here.
Yeah, so many changes.
So whereas Dallas County has been successfully sustained by professionalism and dedication of its employees over the years, and we take special delight in recognizing the accomplishments and milestones of each and every member of its team. Whereas John Clark, who was born in Hot Springs, Arkansas, has a distinguished record in the United States Armed Forces, where he received 2 Bronze Stars for his heroism in the U.S. Navy theater of Vietnam. And he extended his service with the U.S. Navy Reserve and gave almost 15 years of his life as a soldier. Whereas John Clark came into the employ of Dallas County in August 1987 and has excelled in several positions, including lead AC mechanic, maintenance supervisor, first supervisor for Henry Wade and Cook Chill, planner estimator for facilities management, and asbestos hazardous material certified inspector until his retirement in 2008. And whereas John Clark was encouraged and did return to the ranks of Dallas County in 2009 to become the lead project manager for engineering and project management, and was promoted in 2014 to the assistant director of facilities management. And whereas John Clark has many accomplishments, but foremost among them was his leadership of the Cook Chill facility, the elevator escalator modernization project, and the energy performance project to modernize county building infrastructure. And whereas John Clark and his wife Karen have been married for 37 years and are the proud parents of 3 children, 6 grandchildren, who will enjoy interests that include art, travel, and the study of languages that John cherished so deeply. Therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court do hereby, with great sense of pride and indebtedness, wish John Clark's life the very best as he has announced his retirement on September the 16th, 2016, and be it further resolved that this legacy of outstanding service to the taxpayers of Dallas County be emulated by our employee, because he epitomizes that as a whole. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
John?
Just want to say thank you, and I really appreciate
No, you got some
this.
other things on your mind.
I've been told to keep brief. I tend to ramble sometimes, so I'll just say thank you. It's been a good ride. I've really enjoyed working here. It's been fun.
Well, we appreciate the fact that for those of you in the audience, and I'll let Karen really speak for the family. For those of you in the audience, it's really difficult to really understand when you talk about the millions of square feet that Dallas County has to manage day in and day out. Karen, he'll be glad that you won't be having to come to those 8 o'clock meetings that I call for the last, 15 years every morning. But, we really appreciate it. He was retired. They looked across the breadth and asked him to return, and he returned. And so, it's been difficult. Dallas County's been going through some real challenges with this building, but that's because of we've got facilities that are 24/7, unlike a lot of people. And most of our facilities are 24/7 operation, the lion's share. And so, thank you very much. We know we didn't give you brick and straw, but we gave you baling wire. And you've been trying to use that baling wire to keep us together. Those jails were built 30, 40 years ago. Those parts are no longer available. And so you've been searching for them all across the world. And then when y'all can't find them, you get people and the ingenuity within that department and all those people lined up behind you. They sit down and fabricate them. I mean, it's saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's what the public never sees it. That jail is a 24/7 operation. It's larger than 80% of the cities in the state of Texas. And you operate them 24/7, and they're constantly moving. And just thank you for being a part of that team, because when the sheriff's department says the doors won't open, when the fire marshal says that ventilation's not working, those dampers are not opening, you guys have to be responsible, because we have a regulatory body called the Texas Department of Jail Standards that says, hey, you better get it working, and you better get it working now. So thank you for being part of that SWAT team to make it work. And just thank you. Same way with those elevators and escalators. It's okay if somebody gets caught in one of those escalators, then we call you. I don't care how many $7 million we appropriate. You got it. You're the one that made it work. And so,
Thank you for your leadership. For the last 4 years that I've been working with facilities, Mr. Clark, you have been an instrumental person, when it comes to everything that we're doing today with facilities. And those are the new, innovative, different kinds of operations that we're having now in Dallas County, and it couldn't happen without you. So, Mr. Bazan, Mr. Martin, and of course, I always say that you look too young to retire, but then again, I know that at the end of the day, family should be always very important. So,
Your leadership of the team is definitely very much appreciated. Now go have fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner, could I say a word about John, please?
sure, I'm sorry.
I just,
Lily?
as we talk, and we have been talking about the vast institutional knowledge that is present in Dallas County and our aging employee working force, and John Clark has institutional knowledge that no one else will ever have. He's done things in every corner of facilities as he's moved forward, and always been, and still is, very outgoing and very giving of information and training to those that will be left behind to have to pick this up. And he's even volunteered to take calls if we need something from him. I just want to see if he actually picks up after he's gone. But he will be sorely missed by our department, and all of Dallas County will notice that vacuum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lilly. Thank you.
thank you.
Right. And Commissioner Daniel, you have another resolution?
Yes, I do, which is connected to the first, and it recognizes National Recovery Month. So if we could have those who have been active in the area for national recovery, please come forward. because I know traffic allowed a couple more to arrive. Whereas National Recovery Month is observed in September every year across the nation, this year's theme is Join the Voices for Recovery, our families, our voices, our recovery. In particular, this theme speaks to the ever-increasing needs and challenges facing individuals in recovery. The good news is that most Americans believe in recovery and preserve the hope that they can lead a normal life again. Let us respond to this hope by rallying around our communities in recovery. And whereas National Recovery Month promotes the message that behavioral health is essential to overall health. Prevention works, treatment is effective, and people can and do recover from mental illness and substance abuse disorders. There are over 23 million people living in long-term recovery today, and it is estimated that more than 43 million adults, 18 and older, are living with a mental illness, and more than 21 million adults are classified as having a substance abuse disorder. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, by 2020, mental health and substance use disorders will surpass all physical diseases as a major cause of disability worldwide. The National Institute on Drug Abuse estimates that addiction alone costs $700 billion annually in treatment costs, crime, and lost productivity. And whereas work in the areas of mental health, substance abuse, and recovery is still not done, we as a governmental body and community further acknowledge those efforts to improve the quality of life for persons living with and who are affected by these conditions. At the same time, we acknowledge that they are still gains to be made as long as recovery services are not fully integrated into the healthcare system. And whereas today we publicly acknowledge our appreciation to local community leaders, partners, and agencies whom together with the Network of Recovery Services in Dallas County, such as the Associations of Persons Affected by Addiction, National Alliance on Mental Illness, Mental Health America of Greater Dallas, Nexus Recovery, Homeward Bound, MetroCare Services, Integrated Psychotherapeutic Services, ABC Behavioral Health, and Salvation Army. And whereas APAA, Faces and Voices of Recovery, and Texas Recovers will host the Big Texas Rally for Recovery 2016, with many prominent sponsors supporting this event. Thousands of people will gather across the Ronald Kirk Pedestrian Bridge on October 2nd, 2016, from 12 to 6 p.m. to celebrate those in recovery. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court calls on Dallas County residents and stakeholders to recognize National Recovery Month this September and to remember that recovery treatment is effective and people do recover. Please join us October 2nd, 2016 for the Big Texas Rally for Recovery on the Ronald Kirk Pedestrian Bridge from 12 to 6. Recovery is real and it happens every day, and I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And thank you very much. For those who have come, please.
Thank you so much. My name is Doug Denton. I'm the Executive Director of Homeward Bound. And on behalf of APA, Nexus, all the agencies that you mentioned, I just want to talk about the state of Texas a little bit. It is engaged in a recovery support services program. APA has kind of led the way here. Nexus and Homeward Bound have fairly decent contracts from the state to promote recovery and hire people who are in recovery to spread recovery, the message of recovery. And this proclamation goes a long way to support the services that we provide. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you. And to document this moment, can we have if there's further words, a quick picture?
Quick picture, you betcha.
Can we do that?
Come on up.
Come on.
Come forward.
While they're coming, as chairman of behavioral health, and I think the resolution spoke to quite vividly, is that if we have cancer in this country, we have a recognition of it. If we have an outward side in terms of a disease, we have a recognition. We have no recognition of mental health in a way that impacts us in terms of our appropriations or how we recognize it in this state. And so, until we do that, we're going to continue to, this is going to continue to be a growing disease. Well, ready? Let's go.
It's good about
There you go.
autographing.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes. And then,
Fish perfect.
wait.
Thank you. Thank you. You okay? Got the information. Got the information. Hey, Ma, you okay? Good.
You can come this way, yes.
And our final resolution will be from Dr. Garcia.
Oh, I thought Commissioner Cantrell had one.
Oh, I'm sorry, do you have another one, Commissioner Cantrell?
I don't have another one, I have
We
one.
haven't done one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Please go ahead. This is SMU?
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm called Ryan Trimble Up. Now, some of y'all might know Ryan from his wife, Lauren, who works for the judge. He is an SMU graduate and
Hold that against him. Oh, the lawn works for him.
and we're going to be having a baby Trimble here pretty soon.
Yeah.
T-minus
So
6 days.
T-minus, what, 6 days? Whew. That's working right up to the time. We'll hurry this resolution.
Now, pull from you.
So I'll read it and then move its adoption. Whereas Southern Methodist University is one of Dallas County's finest institutions, led by President R. Gerald Turner, with a population of nearly 12,000 students and an alumni base of 50,000 graduates. The institution has the unique position of being in the heart of Dallas and is backed by incredibly devoted and generous supporters and fans. And whereas the SMU Mustang football team is the only Division I football bowl subdivision team, and the men's and women's basketball teams are the only Division I programs that compete in Dallas County, the school also competes at the Division I level in 14 additional varsity sports in Dallas County. And whereas SMU recently announced a $150 million master plan for athletic facilities, including a new indoor performance center, an outdoor natural grass football field practice field, and a new soccer stadium. This transformative plan for SMU athletics is a tangible example of the school's commitment and desire to compete at the highest level of intercollegiate athletics. And whereas the Big 12 Conference calls Dallas County home with its conference headquarters located at 400 East John Carpenter Freeway in Irving, Texas. And whereas Southern Methodist University was ranked 61st amongst national universities in the 2017 U.S. News and World Report rankings, the institution would help bolster the academic profile of the Big 12 Conference. And whereas, out of all the potential expansion candidates, SMU is closest to the estimated geographic center of the Big 12 Conference in Warwick, Oklahoma. And whereas adding SMU to the Big 12 Conference would bring a positive impact to the Dallas County economy. Various estimates show that this positive economic benefit impact could exceed $100 million and could provide for nearly 1,700 new job opportunities. The increased revenues from sales tax, hotel, restaurants, and air travel would provide for increased funding for basic public services. And whereas Dallas County is the home to two major airports, Dallas Love Field and DFW International Airport, therefore ease of travel for all teams and out-of-town fans would be significantly increased. And whereas Dallas County is home to a significant population of alumni of current Big 12 member schools, and adding SMU to the conference would allow these Dallas County residents more opportunities to cheer for their respective alma maters. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim its support for SMU's inclusion in the Big 12 Conference expansion and encourages leadership of the Big 12 Conference to give SMU serious consideration during its deliberations on conference expansion. And I so move.
And I'll second that.
Well, I had already seconded, and I didn't know yet, because I heard the word inclusion.
Say,
I heard the word inclusion.
yes, sir.
Yeah. We'll let them figure that out, but if there's a tie, he can have it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And Ryan, have you met Daryl? I just wanted to make sure you met Daryl. Okay, all right. That's an inside bit, but okay.
Thank you all. Thank you, everybody, and please, you're welcome to join us on our spot on the boulevard this fall if you're free. So,
In your
Judge,
what
take
now?
this our tailgate spot, Judge.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Well,
And take it easy on my Mustangs this weekend, Judge.
That's right.
Thank you all.
all right.
Now it's my turn, Judge.
And now we got you.
Okay, and I'm last but not least, very happy to have this resolution today for the Infant Mortality Month, and I'm going to ask all the stakeholders that are here today to come forward. Dallas County, of course, Health and Human Services Department, Friendship West Baptist Church, Texas Health Steps, the Texas STAR Program Maximus, CORE, Foremost Family Health Center, Martin Luther King and Ball Springs, Anthem Strong Families, the Fatherhood Program, the Retired North Dallas Independent School System, March of Dimes, Dental Quest, and of course our Dallas County Health and Human Services top dog and staff. So, with that, the resolution reads as follows. Whereas infant mortality is a serious issue that affects our nation's health. With such high infant mortality rates across the nation, families who have infants living beyond their first year consider it a huge accomplishment. Every September, we recognize National Infant Mortality Awareness Month, and this year, the National Health Start Association celebrates its 25th anniversary and has been dedicated to reducing incidence on infant mortality, low weight, and preterm births, which are prevalent in minority populations with high rates of unemployment, poverty, and limited access to safe housing and medical care. And whereas NHSA has developed a campaign called Celebrate Day 366, every baby deserves a chance, to celebrate babies living beyond their first year of life, all the while promoting the effectiveness of ongoing programs and efforts to reduce infant mortality. And whereas the Healthy Start Project in Dallas is offered by Parkland Health and Hospital System, this program seeks to reduce infant deaths, preterm and low-weight births, and disparities in perinatal outcomes all year round by offering services in 7 zip codes: 75203, 75208, 75210, 75215, 75216, 75232, and 75241. These zip codes have the highest rate of infant death in Dallas County. This project has made a dramatic impact on the high rates of infant mortality that are prevalent in our community, providing critical services to many women and infants. And whereas Dallas County Health Start Project partners with community-based organizations like the City of Dallas, Dallas County Health and Human Services, Dallas Life Foundation, Los Barrios Unidos Clinic, March of Dimes, Foremost Family Health Centers, Martin Luther King Family Clinic, Region 6 Office of Women's Health, Dallas Housing Authority, Anthem Strong Families, Healthy Texas Babies, Texas Healthy Start Alliance, an early Head Start program with Head Start of Greater Dallas. And whereas mothers can get support throughout their pregnancy and the baby's first year through Texas for Baby and free service that sends text messages to pregnant women and new moms. These messages include tips of prenatal care, safe sleep, immunization, breastfeeding, nutrition, physical activity, safety, injury prevention, developmental milestones, labor and delivery, and car safety issues. Women and families can sign up for this service by texting babies or bebé for Spanish to 511411, and whereas this year Parkland invites you to their 9th annual Infant Mortality Awareness Summit on Friday, September 9 at the Baylor University Medical Center Charles A. Simmons Cancer Center Tom Hunt Auditorium. Now therefore, be resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court officially recognizes September as the National Infant Mortality Awareness Month and appreciates all our stakeholders and Parkland Dallas Healthy Start Program for providing resources to the community in an effort to prevent infant mortality. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone against a baby resolution? Hearing none.
I got a comment.
Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously.
My name is Nicole McKinley, and I'm the Director for Ambulatory Practice in the Women and Infant Specialty Health Division of Parkland. That is a mouthful. And on behalf of Parkland, Dallas Healthy Start, as well as our Community Action Network, I just want to thank you, Dr. Elba Garcia, the Commissioners Court, Zach Thompson, for recognizing Infant Mortality Awareness Month, as well as the work that we do to reduce infant mortality in Dallas County. We are very fortunate in the work that we're able to do in the lives that we're able to touch, but we can't do it alone. And so we have representation from some of our members of our Community Action Network here to celebrate this recognition with us, along with our Division Administrator, Paula Taricki, and our Program Administrator, Carla McCoy. So what I would like to do is to have the Community Action Network members who are represented here just say who they are and their agency that they are representing. We are very grateful for your recognition, and we look forward to continued work with you to reduce infant mortality in Dallas County.
Thank you so much. And the members are...
While they're coming, unless one of you's name is Shifra or Pur, and you'll catch that, on your way to church. Unfortunately, I appreciate all that you do and all you talk about with regards to children and infants. But until this city begins to deal with the issue of the vitality of the mother, we can talk about it all day long. I just found it interesting the city of Dallas could find money for Costco, who had never been in the city of Dallas, to go north. But they only got RFP out for a food desert in the south. They can't seem to find no retailers that want to come south. So if you decide you want to read up on Shifra and Pur, the only difference was the king did not know Joseph, and so just take out the boy. I know you know, but I just thought I'd throw that out there since it's a couple of days after Sunday.
Appreciate that.
Still has his fresh.
Yeah. Go ahead on.
I just want to say before you start that we also have our entire Dallas Healthy Start staff here as well.
Yes.
So
Great.
thankful for them to be able to be here.
If we can.
Good morning, County Commissioners and Judge Jenkins. My name is Philippa Williams, and I'm the Executive Director of I Look Like Love, Inc. We are a recently started nonprofit in the southern sector, and we give partnership to the Healthy Start program. We address the concerns of young mothers, single minority mothers in our community with children ages 0 to 3, through providing immediate assistance through much needed baby items, diapers, which has become a significant health care issue. President Obama earlier this year addressed the concern of diaper need, along with addressing the issues of childhood poverty. So we're definitely a strong advocate in that area and partnering with Parkland in that area. But also, we are here to give support to their program, to their young women who are struggling, and also to those who transition out of their program. The program generally assists these families for until the babies are 2 years old, and we will be offering assistance in that following year, leading up to the child entering into preschool. So we know that it's important that even as they go through this magnificent program, they receive this immediate support, that there may be some residual assistance that's needed to help them get to where they need to be for financial sustainability. So we appreciate this opportunity to come before you, and we certainly celebrate Parkland with you. Thank you.
Okay. And the rest of y'all, send us a letter. Just name an organization. Just name an organization, please.
would just like to say, though, that Dallas County, as seen through the number of resolutions today, we deal with some very serious issues. There are lots of good things that we do, but these are the types of things that in Sunday's New York Times, Texas also got the notoriety for this issue, too, that I'm so glad to see everyone working very, very diligently and working together to see what we can do to make things a little bit better here. So thank you so much for what you do, and thank you for the resolution.
I think I want to thank Angela Morris for helping coordinate this with Dr. Garcia's office. And so, if y'all want to just say your names real quickly.
They can name an organization.
Yeah, name the organization.
Derek Avery, the Core Group, real estate development firm.
Charles Dillon, Anthem Strong Families.
Ashley McGuckin, March of Dimes.
Deborah A. Thomas Family Health Center at Martin Luther King Jr. Center.
We know the meeting.
Anybody can represent Dallas County? Not all of y'all at once.
Should be Dallas County, always represent.
Always here.
LaShonda Worthy, Dallas County Health and Human Services.
Is that it?
Oh, we have more.
Sharonda Wilson, Foremost Family Health Center, Ball Springs.
Ball Springs.
Springs is in the house. And thank you, Luke.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to go out of order.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
On court order number 7, we have some of our justices from our Court of Appeals. If we could take that matter up so they can get back to dispensing justice.
Right. I thought we told them they didn't have to be here, but okay.
And they're all, they also, I'll move court order number 7.
Second.
All right. Judge, do you want to speak, or are we ready to vote? Good deal.
It's not necessary.
Good deal. If you want to, that's fine, but it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Thank you. All the, hearing no, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. I kept telling them.
All right, let's go back to, next we have on our agenda a presentation from Health and Human Services.
Judge, Commissioner, we're going to be real short. Bring up the top doc, and he's going to, let's go to the next slide, Ryan. And we'll come back to the next slide. Let's go to the next one. Okay, real quick.
Good morning, Commissioners Court, citizens of Dallas County, giving you the most recent arboviral surveillance report as far as the mosquito virus threat to Dallas County. Since the publication of the surveillance report that's posted on the screen there, we have 37 West Nile virus cases. Of the 37, we have 25 of those are West Nile neuroinvasive disease, 12 are West Nile fevers, and unfortunately today we've had 1 death associated with West Nile virus infection in Dallas County. In regards to Zika, we have 32 Zika confirmed cases, all associated with travel to date in Dallas County, and we have 18 women, pregnant women associated with exposure to Zika that we're currently monitoring. And that is our clinical update on mosquito viruses in Dallas County.
All right, real quick, we're going to make sure that on our mosquito team, we have not left West Nile season, but we're going to be focusing all of our future presentations on Zika. I wanted to thank Top Doc, Dr. Perkins, Tamara, Rudy, Spencer, and Renee, who is our new PIO, for all their hard work in terms of our response activity in terms of our mosquito approach. Ryan, let's go to the next, to the last slide, and we'll wrap it up real quick. Oh, he didn't load the, he should have been. I gave it to IT. to be the last slide.
No, that, in our
Yeah.
presentation, that is.
Yeah, okay, it should have been another
Yeah, that
one.
is
Okay,
last.
the key point in this is that we talked about the lava siding and aerial, and I think that's a key
I see
point.
what
We're
you-
working with purchasing on that, and I hope all of our Dallas County cities are focused on aerial lava siding, and we think that that should help us out in terms of West Nile virus as well as Zika response. So that's a critical point. I sent enough emails back and forth to departments. I hope we're sending those same emails to people to get the information. I hope that lava siding is a key point that our cities are definitely interested in.
My concern was, and I sent you one of those, midnight emails,
Yeah,
not
sorry.
not from the iPhone, but you said something about the state. Are we really waiting on the state?
No. I wanted to show you that the conversation had already begun with us. I've been
Right.
talking about this, and so the state is now looking at aerial lava siding. The
Right.
point was made by our contractor is, since we've been talking about it, others have come on board. We're
Okay.
not waiting on
But you're
anyone.
still in the
Yeah,
lead.
we're waiting on purchasing, so I guess if I stop getting the email and we can just get to finding out the facts on it, that would help me out a lot.
Right.
But I thank them for their hard work on it. But the key point is that the aerial lava siding, we think we believe it's a win-win
I
in
agree.
terms of counteracting the pesticide discussions. I think if we can get ahead of the curve, we got to get a price. The user department, which is Dallas County Health and Human Services, we're looking at lava siding. I'm not looking for anything else that anybody else is looking for. The aerial lava siding is what is going on throughout the United States, and we think that would be a great benefit. It's not been done since I've been here, and so we think that would be a good plus, and I think it'll counteract this pesticide debate as well. It doesn't eliminate, I want to be clear on that, it doesn't eliminate doing both. It's just that we need to add in our tool belt.
There was the note of the first death with West Nile. Will there be any impact on what's being done with the treatment of West Nile or addressing the mosquito situations?
Well, in regards to the particular case, that municipality was notified and they did the public health follow as far as the mosquito surveillance when it comes to West Nile virus.
Right. But in terms of West Nile virus, we've addressed that with those cities, and they've taken immediate action on that case. That particular death happened several weeks ago, and so going forward, what we're focused on is we're not out of West Nile season, but we also have to look at what's going on in lessons learned. That was the chart. There it is right there. Thanks, Brian, for finding that. The lessons learned is where we're focused. We're not leaving West Nile virus, but the key point is what we've seen, and I want to thank Doug Bass for sending that. What we're seeing is the labor-intensive response that you have to go in a 1 mile or 1.5 mile radius. That is a door-to-door activity. And so we got everybody that, again, is Monday morning quarterback. They're going to look at engineered mosquitoes. They're going to throw out everything. I guess our point is that it's going to be boots on the ground in terms of Dallas County Health and Human Services employees who are going to have to go door to door, and similar to what they did in Miami-Dade. And what we found is that, or what they found, and if it's a mistake, it's what they're quoting, they just found the positive mosquitoes after 40,000 testing of mosquitoes. So the key point is going to be human surveillance. And that's why we think lava siding, of course, pesticide. We have another discussion with one of our cities on tomorrow. We're saying targeted aerial spraying is a key point that we have to have in our tool belt as it relates to the Zika virus. And so there's no way our trucks can be able to quickly get around to all of those areas in a targeted aspect. And so that's why we're focused on, and all our cities are focused on, how we're going to deal with the Zika response. And so that's what I want to make sure. I don't want to get, with a lot of mixed messages. West Nile virus is still on our #1 agenda. But if you look at what's going on in Miami-Dade, and I'm not going to say anyone was behind or anything, it's a very challenging process to deal with Zika virus response. And so you're talking about ramping up a whole health department as well as our Medical Reserve Corps volunteers that will have to go house to house. And the last piece in this, I want to again, Spencer and Rudy, as I pointed out, but Spencer has been on the ground in terms of our surveillance along with Rudy, and I'm hoping that we can look at something down the road. This young man has been phenomenal in our data collection and data detection in terms of response activity. So I don't want the public to be misunderstood. We're clear on West Nile virus. Our cities have been on point with that. They're doing the ground spraying. But when you look at the mitigation process with Zika, for every house that there is a confirmed case, those individual cities and a mosquito control activity has to go on in that particular, around that house in a 150-yard radius. And so when you start extrapolating that to a mile radius, that's a lot of homes that we would have to respond to. So I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that going forward. I look forward to finally getting to the end of the email filing.
Mr. Thompson, have we already hired the epidemiologist position?
Not yet. We're hoping that we can get that in. We'll send something over to Ryan after later on today. But we need, that's a key point. We're right now, in the 20 years I've been here, we really got to focus on having, and working with Dr. Perkins, our top doc, a real vector surveillance epi person that's working with him as we look at the data. It appears since we started, we went from West Nile virus, we're talking dengue, chikungunya, and so now we're talking Zika. And what they're predicting is that this, if it hits, we're talking the next 3 seasons. And so that's why larviciding, I don't care what they find out in Florida, all I want to hear about is larviciding. And so aerial larviciding. And so I think that's the key point.
Thank you for sticking on top of it.
Thank you.
I think we have the presentation of Commissioner Price. What's next?
Well, you got the law enforcement survey, Mr. Graham. And
yes.
This was primarily designed, ladies and gentlemen, as an point of personal privilege with regards to that, and the next, which would be countywide tax. The point of privilege after the last Commissioner's Court, I generated a broadcast. That broadcast was solely done, by me. I did not confer with anyone on this court with regards to that broadcast. However, I'm not totally on the bus that's not the regular bus. I can glean from the conversation what I think individuals at least intend to do. So I want to make sure that is absolutely clear. I call myself adding what I gleaned from the discussion here, not to be narcissistic or self-aggrandizing, as though I was leading the parade. And so, I did that. And so I generated that broadcast without any conference at all from any individual on this day. So I wanted the record to be real clear about that. And the only reason I brought up, and again, the law survey is a kind of a pendant on that. And the reason it is because I heard our sheriff's department, I heard individuals talking about, where they were in terms of the law enforcement survey. So I didn't know if they had seen it. So I had asked, as chairman of civil service, and had asked Mr. Graham to at least provide to the court this law enforcement survey and the participant and where we're tracking and where we were in the great scheme of things.
Okay, Commissioner. We conducted this law enforcement survey in 2016 based on information from, requests from the court to look at the overall county on where our position were in the market. So HR went on and conducted a law enforcement survey, and this survey is based on the law enforcement pay plan, which includes a survey every other year. The court order that authorizes this survey, and by the way, the survey was conducted in accordance with the court order. It's Court Order 98-532. It lists the contiguous counties and contiguous cities that we must survey. It's approximately 18 cities and approximately 5 counties. And based on this survey and the way we calculate or determine the average is based on the court order. And the way we determine the average pay is we average all the cities, we average all the counties, then we average the 2. That's it's in accordance with the court order agreement. And the results of that survey for 2016 indicated on average that from detention service officer, detention service supervisor, manager, and commander, they're basically on target or actually slightly above target. For the law enforcement, the deputy ones, the sergeants, and the lieutenants, they're out by approximately 6%. And so the 8% are anticipated raise if Kevin would basically bring the deputies well within the market for the law enforcement. So on average, the detention officers, that group is in. It would make them slightly above market, and of course with the deputies, it would bring them in market.
They bring them in the market.
Yes.
The base pay for our deputies, though, are on par with market for the most part.
Right now, for the deputies, we're approximately 8% below market, and actually in 2014, we're 7.5. 2016, we're out a little bit more with the anticipated 8% increase. It'll bring us within about 3% of market, under about 3%, and that's considered.
Do you mean our stated policy of 15% below, or do you mean at mean market?
The market based on the survey, court-ordered survey group.
Not our policy, but 15% above our policy.
Yeah, it's actually the court-ordered survey group. The law enforcement is based on a court-ordered survey group, which is on market, not Dallas County philosophy is based on most of other staff. Law enforcement has their own separate survey, which is actual market based on contiguous counties and cities.
And what happens to the survey if you take out the city and compare to just count the surrounding counties?
Yes, that would vary how for the...
Well, that's excuse that. There's a reason we put, because the officers at that time, the organization, the officers said that, if we just did county to county, that wouldn't be appropriate because of our size. Our contiguous counties don't nearly have the size or the girth that we have to deal with. And so the court order basically said we would do the cities and the counties.
I understand, but I'm just asking the question since, for instance, the Dallas Police Department does different jobs than the Fort Worth Sheriff and the Dallas Sheriff's Department do, and they're all valuable jobs. But I'm curious, where are we if we just consider the counties that are doing the...
We just only consider the counties we're well within. But again, the survey was to combine, because we, attract applicants from all over the city and county. So that's why they was considered part of the survey.
And cities like Dallas and others, they cherry pick our people, DSS, DSM. That's where they get individuals for their law enforcement. So it was well within range to consider them. So, and not only city of Dallas, but other cities.
Well, actually, we use the city of Arlington, Carrollton, Cedar Hill, Capel, DeSoto, Dallas, Duncanville, Farmers Branch, Fort Worth, Garland, Grand Prairie, Irving, Louisville, Mesquite, North Richland Hills, Plano, Richardson, Rockwall, Rowlett.
Yeah, a lot of the smaller cities they like them being certified and already trained. So.
But so does Dallas, though.
No, I understand. Yeah. They still send them through their academy. Well, some of these smaller cities don't. They just...
And they still pay more than we do.
That's right.
Yes.
That's been a contention ever since I've been on the court on what cities and what counties to include, and this is by far the fairest across the board. That gives a... Sheriff's deputies aren't happy, and we're not happy. So.
No, and it's not about a complaint. It's just the fact that, like the query with regards to employees as to what might be the intention of this court, heard the same thing from law enforcement survey as to whether or not, when you deal with the steps, whether or not they were out of range with regards to what we traditionally do. And that has been a group that we've treated differently than the rest of our employees. When some of our employees weren't receiving any kind of compensation, they were getting their steps still.
Yes, they got that. Well, they actually got it for 1 year, almost 2. Then we froze it because of the budget constraints.
Until we
and it picked back up.
But this year, if 8% passes the court and someone is eligible for a step, that's 5%. So some of the deputies could be going up 13%.
Correct.
So.
It's actually 4.5. I want to make sure it's approximately 4.5% step. I want to, they'll get 12 to 13%, yes.
Ermit, of the sheriff's employees, how many are detention officers?
A detention officer.
1,450.
Okay. And they're already on par. So if they get a step and a raise, where would they be? 13 above par, or?
Well, I wouldn't say, they're actually on average about 8% above par, so giving them.
They're already, or they're going to be?
Well, actually, according to the survey, they're on average about.
Okay.
Right at 8% above market, combined. If you're looking at the detention service officers only, they're at 9%.
Okay.
I still would not.
Currently,
on 2016 data. 2014 data, it was actually 10, so they went down 1%.
So the only ones that are currently below par would be deputies and captains?
The deputy ones, the deputy threes, and the lieutenants.
Okay.
Are basically below market on average of about 5%.
And even with a step and a 3% raise, they'd be at par. And with a step and a 8% raise, they'd be above par. Is that what you're telling us?
Well, an 8% raise based on the economy would actually probably give them an additional 4%, because the economy is estimated based on the survey to it's not CPI, but economy from a survey standpoint is anticipated to move about 4%. So it'll give them a 4% above what typically most average entities will get. So that would bring them definitely right at par, about 1% under maybe. But they'll be definitely on par. You consider within market that you're within 3 to 5%.
No, they're
so they would.
Just trying to understand the math. They're currently 8% below par, right?
On average, the deputies are 8%, the sergeants are 6%, and the lieutenants are 5%. So on average, they're about 6% below market. Giving them an 8% raise would bring them probably about within 2% of market, below market.
Because you're assuming others will get a 3% raise or something.
Right.
Right.
We're using 8%, yeah. Some of the others get a 3% raise, correct.
Okay. Because
Right.
others are going to give raises
Right,
too.
so the 8% is really truly not an 8%.
And that's right.
And the point is that while some of the law enforcement will still be at market, in the overall scheme, even with the step raise, we're still, underpaid. That's it.
Yeah.
No, they're not. I mean, I love our employees, but that's not what you're saying. They're not underpaid. They're at market.
Well, at market.
They're at market.
Compared to the other cities, they still, can be taken away easy.
They're at market based on the survey of the contiguous counties. In other words, they're on market with the other entities in this area. If they're underpaid, then of course our employees are underpaid as well, but they're on market with the other entities within this contiguous area.
Well, again, the national average for turnover is 15%. Sheriff's Department right now is running about 13%. And as I said, the 1,450 detention service officers on the 1 to 48 ratio gives us we just talked about having to run that operation. Those individuals are an imperative, and they appear to be being paid on market. But the same is true in terms of our deputy, which is a much smaller force. I agree.
And on the deputy side, just if you wouldn't mind breaking down for us, so you got 1,450 detention officers. How many lieutenants, captains, deputies, sergeants for each of those numbers?
I'd have to get to that. I can get that to you.
But that's a small part of what the lion's share. I mean, she had got total. I think is 2,300, 2,400.
2,200.
2,200. Lion's share at market. So the lion's share.
The lion's share are detention service officers, and those are the individuals on the 24/7 app over there. So,
And when you start dealing with the jailers, though, you do get into a unique position where most cities don't pay a whole lot for their jailers because they're not certified.
That's
Ours are certified, and of course, they may have 4 or 5 of them, we've got 1,400 of them. And so
That's
when you
why
start doing
I-
that piece, it does get
Would
pulled
it not
apart.
be fair to our jailers to compare them to Tarrant County, Collin County, Denton County,
But
as
they are.
opposed to,
They are.
as opposed to the Arlington City Jail that has maybe 30 people?
No. That's not what he's doing. They are. That's the reason we put the counties in there with the cities, so that we get that blend.
But on the detention side, would the cities not drag down the price?
No.
Cities.
Because it's not enough.
Because of the way the averages are working, yes, but it also does the same things if the city
If you
brings
said-
on the deputies. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you have to, so while you use this information for the purposes of setting compensation, you also have to intuitively take a look at what's the right answer, because it may not necessarily be what the market is.
So I'd love to see if y'all could get for us apples to apples on the detention officers,
It's going to be very hard.
pulling the cities out and just taking, because I think that would...
Pulling the cities out, the city's average for detention officers is 37.8. Dallas County's average is 39.8. It's a difference of 2,000. We pay 2,000 higher.
What I'm asking is pull them out and then just do the other counties, and let's see if the other counties are, say, 41 or something.
Looking at that, the county average is, again, I just said the county average is 39.8, and Dallas County's average is 42.6.
Yeah, okay.
So you just use the counties on.
Just a few thousand more.
We're still over.
Compared to the,
So that's why we combined.
I mean,
we got the second largest jail in this dadgum state. We've got the seventh in the country.
yeah, if you go by counties, Judge, you really should look into workload.
Have you looked at Harris County? Is Harris County?
It's contiguous counties.
Well, I'm just trying to find anybody that pays
You
more
really
than
don't want
we
to go
do.
to Harris
Competing
County.
with Harris County.
Yeah, you don't wanna
Actually,
do that.
the next one that pays close to us is Collin County, which was 41.1.
And they have
Tiny
16,
little jail.
yeah, they got 116.
216
Yeah.
Do
DSO.
we know what Harris County is, because they're bigger than us?
Harris County, we tend to not use for this because they use deputies in their jail.
Okay, so they're really high.
Exactly.
rate's twice ours too.
Yeah.
So,
It's no comparison. I don't.
Well, no, I think it's great. What it's showing is that for detention officers, we're apparently paying more than anybody else in the state.
No, we're not.
Well, in contiguous counties.
For contiguous counties.
Right.
But we're the second largest in the state, the seventh largest in the country. I mean, you can't make a comparison.
There and all that, 'cause it's-
You can't even begin to compare. And we're only paying $2,000 more than Collin County. We got 1,450, they got 216.
Yes, we're paying, $1,500 more, yes.
Yeah.
$1,500 more. It's no comparison. Anyway, that was all of my law enforcement. Thank you, Mr. Graham.
And we're still set for the 8%?
All right. Shall we move to the consent agenda?
Yeah, the county tax rate, I kind of put them both, I blended. So,
It has to
got
be in
it.
every single discussion.
Yeah.
Move approval on the consent agenda.
Second.
All those, any discussion on the consent agenda? Any discussion, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we'll consider the bids.
Hold on.
Did everyone vote?
Yeah, been voted.
Yeah, I did. My computer's slow. Okay, now you can go to the awards.
Okay, now go to one.
Is his going to work today? No, yours will.
No, his not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
All those in favor signify.
No, you gotta have a motion.
Absolutely.
So moved.
Second. Just, the motion second on the water bids. But let me get into the discussion. Because Marsh Lane's not mine. Is that yours? Marsh Lane yours? Well, I don't know about you, but over in Hickory Creek, I got some issues. And my issues are, I'm getting ready to award a dadgum contract, just like you are too. And I got another one out there that's not on the agenda, so I won't bring that one up. However, I don't have labs. I'm talking about awarding a bid and I don't have labs. Labs are the independent consultant for a project, and I don't have labs. So where am I?
I have the timelines from Ms. Blair. The lab and appraisal contracts are going between purchasing and the vendor and the DA's office.
Yeah, but I've been hearing that since Hector was a pup. My problem is I'm getting ready to award and I don't have labs.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do a comparison on Ms. Blair's timeline and then come back and provide a status report.
Okay, okay.
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
And it is taking a while to execute these agreements.
Yeah, and one that I cannot discuss, I am in the middle of dealing with it, and I'm being told that I can't continue my labs. So I can't stop the project. I mean, they're pouring concrete. What?
We got to get these out on the street, so I'll give you first. We got to make sure we got to get these items out on the street.
Yeah, I understand. Mr. Martin, I appreciate it, okay? My problem is I've been talking about this, and now we're getting down to city. We're starting to drop projects. You can't move them without labs.
I'll get with purchasing, make sure we get these things out on the street immediately. I'll get you a timeline to make sure we get these things out on the street. Commissioner, you're right. We've been talking about this a little too long now. It's been well
Way
over a
too
year.
long. And I got one that's in the middle, and you can't stop pouring. You can't stop pouring concrete because I don't have land.
Well, with those projects that are already in progress, we should be able to use prior vendors that we were using on the project because, I mean, we talked about this as a group because it's a project-specific item. So that shouldn't be a holdup for that.
I sent y'all some emails. You know, some of us drive around and we look at our projects and we check them off. You know, and then we come back and then we ask, you know, what's the status of our projects? I don't care whether they talk about burning a pile of trash in Sand Branch or I'm looking at a road up in the mountains. I got projects that are in suspense. Labs. And we've talked about it for 3 or 4 months. What?
Sir, we're in final phases of negotiations. We have that. We're working on it.
Point made.
We'll get.
So?
I think they get it.
Okay,
I think they get it.
Okay, so call the question.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, next, we have, second, that's not scheduled till 11. Is there a problem with doing it now?
Yes, it will be if it's scheduled 11.
Well, we have a public hearing. Their presentation.
The public hearing's actually posted for 9 a.m., so you're fine.
Perfect, okay. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on the tax rate for Parkland Hospital?
So moved.
Second.
You're going to have to give me a head nod since my screen's not working. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, someone want to take us through that?
Commissioners, this is the second required public hearing related to the Dallas County Hospital District's proposed tax rate for the tax year 2016 for their FY17 budget. The proposed rate that was advertised is the 28.6 cents per 100 evaluation, which is the same rate that it's been for the last 3 years.
All right.
So moved. Oh, that's right, we're opening the public hearing.
Are we done
Well,
done with the presentation?
That's just yet.
All right. So let me call for speakers.
No, I want to know what where's Parkland? Is it Parkland at all?
Their presentation's at 11. Do you want to ask them some questions? I saw someone earlier. They're lawyers here. Anyone? Parkland want to come forward? Seeing no one. Do you have some comments before we hear from public speakers?
No, my comments are strictly for Parkland. I sent a ton of information and I haven't gotten half of it back.
Okay.
Request.
Are there any public speakers on the Parkland tax rate? Are there any public speakers? Are there any public speakers?
Make a motion that the the hearing cease on the Dallas County Hospital District tax rate and that it be closed.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have a public hearing on the Dallas County tax rate. Is there a motion to open that public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Someone want to take us through the Dallas County tax?
Hold on, carry the motion.
All those in...
No.
Let me do it. I'll do it for you.
Got it. You gotta carry it.
Press it.
You gotta carry it.
Okay, you can motion it now.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries unanimously. Go ahead.
Judge and Commissioners, this is the second required public hearing related to the Dallas County proposed tax rate. This is the tax rate that will be used for the tax year 2016 and will be used for the FY17 budget. The proposed tax rate that was advertised is 24.31 cents.
I do have a question of Ryan before we, with the effective rate,
Correct.
you stated that we could accomplish a 3% increase,
That is correct.
and we could also do a 3% across-the-board cut
Correct.
for departments that would also provide another 3%, so we could provide staff with a 6% pay increase. Is that correct?
Assuming that we could actually achieve the 3% cut across the board, yes, you would be able to give it.
Well, you have smaller departments that you probably couldn't get that 3%, but you also have some areas that are ripe for some paring down a little bit, that you could accomplish that same thing. So technically, you could go to your effective rate and accomplish a 6% increase for all of our employees and elected officials, and put us within the ballpark.
Mathematically correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
But that's, you're basing that on being able to do a 3%.
Right, and we've done 5% across the board cuts.
Yes, we have.
In the county. I mean, how long has it been since we've had an across the board cut?
You know, back in during the recession, back in the 2010, 11, we were definitely doing those types of cuts.
A 3% would be pretty minuscule, and I'd understand courts in those areas that they don't have the budget size that larger departments would have. But have you looked at, Ryan, just in vacancies across the county? I know you use LAG, but have you looked at just the vacancies and what you could pare out of that?
I haven't done that one recently because, of course, vacancies could be somebody left yesterday and it became vacant versus somebody's position that's been vacant for 6-7 months.
No, but some departments, and I'll tell you, juvenile, we went in and scrubbed, made sure. In fact, I asked that, we did that. So we scrubbed all of those vacant, and I hope you keep this same mindset when we get to that 11 o'clock hearing. That's the issue. In Dallas County, I think, and I understand where you're going with a few of those courts, but a lot of our departments.
I've had the same mindset because I'm at the effective rate with Parkland.
I got you.
Okay.
You might have some company there. I'm just saying that we pared down in some of the departments, at least the ones where I'm on board, whether it's the health, whether it's juvenile, we've gone in there and taken those positions. Any positions they had that they had not filled in the last year, took them out. They're out. So, I mean, I don't know any other department. I mean, if I look at Road and Bridge, I don't have no departments that are not filled. I mean, maybe one position. So, I mean, I can't imagine that, because one of the things Dallas County has done, Commissioner, you know this, probably better than anybody else on this court, you know, we've remained real lean.
I understand.
We've remained real lean. But no, we did do some of that extraction, and I asked for it. So we've gone down that road.
But then part of that, too, is, you know, getting back to the 3% cut in departmental. When we're looking at deferred maintenance and the status of maintenance in the variety of the 53 buildings and in departments, have we reached a point where we are on par or on have we, how do I want to say it? Have we filled that gap yet?
Oh.
Clearly, our buildings continue to need some resources, but however, that's
doesn't come out of
not
general
actually
fund.
part
Yeah,
of what
that's
you
not
would be
the
dealing
same.
with
Yeah,
on
yeah,
compensation.
yeah.
Doesn't come out of general fund.
And again, in fact, Mr. Bazan just published for us that whole scenario, but that's not a general fund, that's not a general fund.
Okay, so that doesn't impact the 3%
Well,
cut,
it
kind of.
does.
But it's still the whole budget.
Yes.
So you're
You're
still-
talking about taking 3%,
So
you're
you're
going to
still
take it from the
com-
larger departments, and facilities is one of them. So if you start talking about reducing staff, you're going to start talking about reducing staff in facilities, reducing staff in jail. I mean, that does have an impact overall on your deferred maintenance in your building, so.
But it would be hard for the public to believe that we couldn't manage a 3% cut. Wouldn't it?
But Commissioner.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, and it would be different if again, if I thought we were that flush. I mean, you have probably as much as anyone surgically been here and you've watched us.
I have, and I've also watched when we've done 5% across the board cuts too.
But that was that was a whole different area, and a lot of that was lag. A lot of that was lag when we did that cut.
I understand. I just didn't, it hasn't been developed enough for me to know, are we getting into bone, or do we still have some meat to
It's
look
long.
at?
It's narrow.
Pretty thick.
Well, I haven't seen those diagrams yet, so.
That's
I'll
the
show it to you, anyway.
thing. Everybody thinks there's about to come when there's not.
Public comment.
And I appreciate the discussion. I remained committed to finding a way to do this budget on the effective rate because I am incredibly concerned that we continue to have this not-so-hidden tax increase each year on our residents. This year, their burden will go up, if we don't do something, their burden will go up 10.07%, which, as far as any of us can find, is the largest tax increase in the history of Dallas County government.
And it's $37 over and above what we projected on $189,000.
Well, and again, we can spend
And that includes commercial.
And I understand your position, but the fact remains it's the largest tax increase in the history of Dallas County, and I'm opposed to it. Any other comments before we hear from public speakers? All right. Are there any public speakers on the Dallas County tax rate? Yes, sir. Please come forward. And sir, I think, is the clock broken too?
I don't know if it will work, Judge, but
The clock may or may not be broken, but I'm going to keep time on my,
keep time.
she's going to keep,
But they can't see it.
and I'll keep it too, so I'll know to tell you when to stop. If you'll just state your name and your address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes to speak. Do you want me to give you a hand signal or something when you? Okay.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me today, Judge Jenkins and Commissioners. My name is Russell Berry. I live at 6411 Royal Drive in Dallas, 75208 in Commissioner Garcia's district. In addition to being a Dallas County taxpayer resident, I'm also the president of the Metro Tex Association of Realtors. We are a trade organization that has over 17,000 members that live, work, pay taxes, and vote in Dallas County. As a realtor, I'm very familiar with the way that property taxes affect people. In one of our offices in North Lake Highlands, we are actually selling a property for an elderly woman who has received her tax burden for 2016 and knows she cannot afford that. She lost her husband 2 years ago, and now she's losing her house. As a recent Dallas Morning News article found that property values increased in many price ranges, and those between $150,000 and $250,000 saw an 11.2% in appraised value, the highest of all price ranges. In situations of rising values like this, when property taxes stay the same, property owners still pay more taxes. Even if the rate is partially decreased, the local government can see a windfall in tax revenue. This is a phenomenon that we as realtors call the hidden property tax. Adopting the effective tax rate would be a transparent way to fund the Dallas County property budget and give Dallas County property owners a break in taxes. The last time Dallas County voters had the opportunity to weigh in on property tax reductions, 87% voted in favor in 2015. This was for a statewide constitutional amendment, Proposition 1, which lowered property tax rates and increased the homestead exemption and prevented a sales tax. Renters supported this, and so did Dallas County voters, by a margin of 7-1. I ask the Dallas County Commissioners Court consider holding the line on tax increases by adopting the tax rate. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers on the tax rate? William, would you like to speak on the tax rate? Go ahead.
I want to speak on the tax rate, but the last time I spoke at a public hearing, you stopped me from speaking in the afternoon. And I called the secretary and they told me I could speak at a public hearing and speak in the afternoon. You stopped me the last time, so I'm wondering if you're going to try it again now. Because if you is, I'm going to walk away from the microphone. John got something to say.
You get to, let me treat that as a good faith question. Okay. You can speak on the tax rate. Right. On each of the things that have a public hearing, you get 3 minutes. Okay. And then at the end, if you want to speak on another matter, you can have 3 minutes. So go ahead, sir.
Okay. On the tax rate, I pay taxes in Oak Cliff. Okay. The streets is so unkept and raggedy, Judge Jenkins, that I done tore up 2 cars with the front end and back end and brakes driving in Oak Cliff. They just fixed the train tracks at the zoo station. It was so unkept, it knocked the whole tire off my car at the zoo station. I don't know if you sue Doit or the city or what. The dogs is like packs of dogs in Oak Cliff, 15, 20 in a pack. And I pay taxes, they turn over these trash, they do everything. 20 dogs. Nobody did nothing about the dogs. The streets is raggedy. The sidewalks, they don't even have sidewalks, Judge Jenkins, and most of the places don't even have a sidewalk. And I'm paying taxes, and I'm wondering how you going up with the rate, and the streets is the same, they raggedy. The sidewalks is raggedy. Dogs everywhere. Dogs killing people in Dallas. And we're paying taxes. Dogs, a woman can't even walk down the street without a dog killing her. And we're paying taxes, and y'all raising the rate, and nothing's changed. I'm going to go down to the same streets today when I leave here today, Judge Jenkins. The same streets in Oak Cliff. Turn up my car again when I leave here today. And I don't understand it, and I'm paying taxes. You say the clock don't work again?
You got a minute.
Y'all got any money for that?
You got a minute and a half.
You got a minute and a half. Okay, the clock don't work. It don't never work. Do y'all have any money for the clock? Okay, I'm paying taxes. I'd like for y'all to take out some money from my taxes for the clock. I ain't waiting on all those, Judge Jenkins. I pay taxes. Take out some money. We're going to say, William Hopkins, take whatever y'all need out for the clock, man, and fix the clock, man, and for my taxes. I pay taxes. Go check at the tax place. I pay taxes. For real, Judge Jenkins. Okay, thank you very much. You welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hopkins. All right, thank you very much. Sorry about that, Mr. Hopkins.
Point of order.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, ma'am. Please come forward.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me time to speak, Commissioners. Again, I was here a couple of weeks ago. I'm here again to say that I would like to...
State your name.
My name is Deputy Gavin Landis, Dallas County Sheriff's Department. I've been in the department 23 years. This raise is not for me. It's about the people that are under me, the DSOs, the deputies that have been here for so long that they've been stuck in the same steps where they're not supposed to be at. I don't agree with as far as the DSOs and the amount that's stated. Some of the DSOs were frozen at the same time as we were. You have DSOs that are here for 8 years that are making the same amount as DSOs that have been here for 3 years. So that doesn't equal out as well. And I understand there's a discussion for increase in insurance as well, 10% if I'm correct. I could be wrong on that, but that'll affect us as well. I just ask you to keep the current rate as it is.
to help with the 8%. And step, including 2 steps, I would like. That's something I think everybody's received an email from us, the Lieutenant Police Officers Association, as discussed. I would hope that be considered. That's what I'm present here to ask for.
Good morning, Judge Jenkins. My name is Lieutenant Fonda Boyd. I've been with the Sheriff Department 27 years. So I've been here twice when our raises were frozen. And like the deputy was saying, I'm not speaking on behalf of myself, but there are 2,200 employees over there that have fell into those gaps where their raises have been frozen. And the survey sounds good that we're on target with the market, but is it our market? And as the commissioners have said, they're talking 2 different markets. We're the second largest facility in the state of Texas. So those other facilities, they don't compare to us. And those officers over there, they're doing a good job. Because we keep passing the state board, we keep passing jail inspection and doing the job that you're asking us to do. And all we're asking is that you do the right thing. That's our plea, that you do the right thing. $37 as compared to a single parent over there trying to take care of a child that's going to have to deal with insurance increases. We're just asking that you do the right thing. And if you're going to compare us to the agencies that handle the amount of work that we do.
But Lieutenant, let me just tell you. The reason, oh yeah, I know it's on the daggone agenda. Hell yeah, I can talk about it. But I'll put it on. The law enforcement survey, we don't recruit people from Houston, Texas.
Right.
And so while we compare you or any of the other 6 large jails around the country, we recruit in this SMSA. So based on that, that's what the survey says, and the survey is appropriate. It's an appropriate survey. In fact,
Okay, Commissioner, if you could make I don't want to interject. I think under our rules, you can question the witnesses that come forward, but not give a statement to them. Do you have anything, do you have a question for her?
No, that's not true.
I want you to be able to give your points, but after she sits down.
I'm going to do that. Judge Roden?
Yes, while our rules generally talk about presentations that come at the end of the session for the public speaking session, this is a public hearing.
That's right.
Therefore, it's not limited.
That's right.
Such as those situations. Those are where someone is coming to talk about something that's not been posted on the agenda. Exactly. But this is posted as a public hearing.
I recognize. Thank you, Jim. So I just wanted
to caution you from badgering them.
I don't feel badgered.
Okay, go ahead.
It's fine.
No, I just want you to understand, and I understand your point. You and I have had this conversation in the community everywhere else, and so I understand your point. I just want you to understand this law enforcement survey that we agreed on with the association in terms of contiguous counties and cities, and that's because when we dealt with, whether we dealt with Hay or anybody else, they said, your SMSA, your standard market is here. We don't pull people out of Houston, or Harris County or any place. And so that's the only reason. And so that's the reason, that comparison. That's the only thing I'm saying. And I'm still with, you know my position. My position is very public. But, I just wanted you to understand about this survey. And we've according to the court order, we've continuously done this survey when we said we were going to do it, and we continue to use the same. We haven't talked about extracting cities or anything else. We recognize the good work y'all do. And some of us, hopefully, we're going to get a chance to recognize and show you that on a piece of paper.
I appreciate it. I just ask that you take into account that we have gone without raises. And I keep saying that because it's on record, it's fact. We have gone without raises, and those officers, they continue to do what's asked of them. And as a return, Dallas County shines. At the end of jail inspection, when you're taking those pictures and you're happy about it, it's because some people have put in the hours, they put in the work. And we just ask you to do the same, to be respectful of that.
Thank you both. Thank you both.
Yes, sir, please come forward.
Richard Sheridan, 3817 Gwinnett Lane, Dallas, Texas. I'm proposing about a 2 to 3% increase in taxes, specifically for homeless shelters, to create, we have to build a new building, a lot of empty buildings in Dallas, create and operate homeless shelters in Dallas. It's becoming increasingly apparent that we have and I'll be going into this in more detail when I speak later, that we have a major homeless problem in Dallas. We have a major homeless problem in Dallas because the city doesn't do what it's supposed to do. We need about 5,000 homeless shelters. The DHA came out with a number of $40,000 per street sleeping homeless person per year that it's costing us. You multiply that by 5,000, and that comes out to $200 million. It's an astounding number. $200 million, where for about $35 to $40 million, we provide basic shelter to the homeless. They won't be going to jail. They won't be getting sick. They won't be going to Parkland or other private hospitals. The Dallas Morning News published an article, published a letter to the editor, which basically floored me. And they had actually something positive to say, put something positive that I wrote on April 18th. It says, I've been an advocate for the homeless for about 13 years. What I've seen and spoken at City Hall and Commissioner's Court is pitiful, just pitiful. It seems that the attitude of both government bodies, I'm not mentioning names, is that they would rather see our homeless go to jail and get sick than go to Dallas hospitals at more than twice the cost. And again, the numbers are in there. So I think the numbers are in the ballpark. I don't think the Morning News would have published anything where I was totally out of line. So 2 to 4% increase specifically to create and operate emergency homeless shelter is very important. Thank you very much.
Are there any further speakers?
Carl, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Let me make sure that, I think you're right. But any further speakers? All right. Hearing none, there's been a motion to, and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Just hold on, Judge. Let everyone vote.
All right. And will IT please fix the clock and this computer for 2 weeks from now? Yes. We can do that, Mr. Hopkins. We will get that clock fixed. All right. This takes us to, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this takes us to our public hearing on the county and district clerk 2017 archive fee plan.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just hold on, Judge. Let them all vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Sorry. It's okay. It's okay. I'll fix it.
All right. Are there any public speakers?
No, let them lay it out, Judge.
Yeah, Judge and Commissioners, this is the public hearing concerning the preservation and restoration of archive of records for the county clerk and the district clerk. The plans that they have proposed are court order number 1. So if anybody wanted to read them, they could see them right there. This is a public hearing concerning those plans. These plans are for a $10 fee. Both of them set that, which will generate $3.8 million for the county clerk and $300,000 for the district clerk. The county clerk's fees collects that much because it's also put on all property records. So every time someone does a mortgage, that $10 fee is included in that. On the county or district clerk side, this fee is down a little bit over the years as the civil district court filings have gone down. However, the family courts continue to have strong filings.
Is the amount of the fee the same as last year?
It is the same as it's been for the last couple of years, yes.
What is the balance in those accounts in regards to those fees?
The district clerk had a balance of $817,000, and the county clerk had a balance of $8.7 million. The county clerk does have a large contract outstanding for the archival from old records that was awarded a while back. I don't believe that the full award was encumbered at this point in time. And then the district clerk continues to use their funds for automation in the courts, and they used it to do the Odyssey for the juvenile courts.
Is that fee impacted, I heard you with regards to the county clerk, with regards to the filings in the district clerk?
The district clerk's fee is down a little bit as the tort reform has taken its impact on the filings of civil cases. However, it also is collected on the family court cases and the juvenile court cases on the civil side. So those have been remained strong.
So they're down about 25%?
On the civil side, yes.
Civil side.
Yeah. But the fee itself is down from about $420 a year down to $300,000.
Okay.
All right. Any further questions or comments on the archive fee? Are there any public speakers on the archive fee? Any public speakers on the county and district clerk's archive fee plans? Any public speakers on the county and district clerk's archive fee
Public
plans?
hearings on the county and district clerk archive fee plans.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, this takes us to court orders 0 through 38 and addendums 39 and 47.
Hold on. Did yours freeze? Mine froze. Did it?
It's just still working on it.
Pulling 7, as it's already been passed, or excluding 7, and pulling 43 for a later date.
Pulling.
And when you get that up, let me know, because
Just one moment.
So it's going to be 1 through 47, pulling 7 and 43.
So moved.
only 43 for the elections department, Ms. Pippin's pool.
Yeah, it's full.
It's full?
It's
Okay,
full.
good.
Judge, when you have a moment, also, we have a correction on 46, but Mr. Rhoda needs to read it to the
All
record.
right, let's do that before anybody votes. Please read that into the record.
Right, with respect to that item in the contract for Mahomes, we just had a couple of changes. One's a typographical error. Any reference to Mahomes, M-A-H-O-N-E-S, needs to be changed to M-A-H-O-M-E-S. And also the, in first paragraph of the indemnification provision on page 6 needs to be changed to read, the firm agrees to indemnify the county and its officers, employees, and agents from and against any and all losses, penalties, damages, settlements, costs, or liabilities arising out of or due to any malpractice of the firm, its employees, agents, and subcontractors in connection with or arising out of this engagement and/or the performance hereof. And the next sentence needs to be changed so to read, instead of the county in work, to the county with respect to work. Other than those changes, there are no other changes.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions for the record on that. So I read those two contracts, and they come in the form of, I believe, a letter, so to speak, from the lawyers. I see at least one of them is Steve Bolden or someone here from Helms, that they understand these changes and they've agreed to them.
Yes, that's correct.
In writing.
Yes.
Okay, super.
Do you have questions on 35?
35. I don't know which, let me find that real fast.
35 is the highest rank on eVerge. It's eVerge software. Where's Miss McDonald here?
We got the confidential.
She's here, Judge.
Oh, there she is. Okay, so do you have a motion yet?
So moved.
And a second?
Was that a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
A second.
All right, any discussion on any of these orders?
Well, yeah, there's going to be discussion, because we took it through 46, 47.
47.
We took 1 through 47.
Okay. I want Treasurer come forward. and I'll take it on 3. I'm going to have some issues still with whether or not that we're calling that a pilot. I guess the public defender's here and Mr. Stretcher's here. We're calling that a pilot. One's funded through the county, one's funded through Caruth. So what are we basically saying there?
While Ron comes up there, the anticipation is as long as the grant is in place and we have those positions, there would be the need for a public defender and they would be in place.
Okay.
Should the grant go away and we determine to cancel the program, then obviously the public defender would be impacted.
That's what I was listening for. I got the wedding.
Yep.
I'm okay. The wedding's there. No,
Mr. Stretcher, explain why this is important as well.
Not you, Ms. Madrano.
Ms. Madrano, the wedding, that's done. He said as long as that's there, the public defender's there. That's all I wanted to hear.
Shotgun wedding worked.
That's right. All right. Ms. Madrano, in regards to this co-bond council now, talk about this co-bond council for what issue?
It is for bond. The bond issuance for the 200 million.
Okay. And with regards to the 200 million, what did the rates come in at?
The rates came in, we locked in at under 2%, 1.94% for the two, and locked in the interest at that, so lowest that we've had ever in the history of Dallas County.
Okay. I guess what I'm asking is based on that rate, based on these bond council agreements, are we where we in terms of the compensation that's on the table? Is it appropriate, and is the financial advisory committee, your process, is this it?
This is it. I also would like to comment that under the underwriter spread, the proposal was at 350, and they went down to 339 also. So that was a savings. And then this was also the co-bond council. I think it was a really good deal. We went down on the capping on the bond council, and then we did MWBE on both co-bond council and co-disclosure council as well.
Had we received notice of the rate and that the sale had gone through and all that?
Yes, we have.
Did you send that to us?
But I don't think that we received the notice on that.
Okay, I will send that. I definitely will send that to you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
But bottom line is on 1.94, it is the lowest in the history of Dallas County. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
To you and the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, any further discussion on the court orders? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, this takes us to, now I believe it takes us to our Parkland budget hearing.
You got 5 minutes on it. You can do it.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, we'll take one speaker. I want to start that hearing, get Parkland back to work as soon as possible. So will the bailiff please read the rules of decorum for our public speaker?
All commissioners, court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the state of Texas Penal Code Section 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion of any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
All right, Dolores Phillips, please come forward.
Dolores Phillips, address 1050 North State Highway 360, Room D, 3041, Grand Prairie, Texas, 75050. You do have documents, total 7 different documents in the amount of 81 pages total. Honorable Jenkins, I've been coming before you for, 2 years plus? All those documents that I've passed out to you are also filed at the city secretary's office. It has been gentlemen that resemble you by complexion that shared with me from a legal perspective that the court, our Cabral Baldy, was guilty of deliberate misconduct in my case. Those are gentlemen that resemble you by complexion. I'm willing to endure to say that I belong the who, the how, and the why of systemic injustice. I'm going to continue to humbly endure to say this is one of America's most massive cover-ups ever to take place in America's history. Green Notes is an escalation of what happened back then. I also want to say that the Central Library took books out of circulation that was helping and assisting me in filing court documents. I also allege you will testify under the court of law, in the court of law, under sworn oath, a book that was titled On How to Prepare a Writ of Certiorari from the Supreme Court was taken out of circulation with no record that it was ever in the law library at the George Owen building right over here, a couple of streets over. I also want to say that public record, I will not be open to your deliberate deception of unity. I will not shake hands, support the most methodically operated Ponzi scheme of enslavement of all people unleashed right here. I will not be supporting that. I also want to let you know that what's going on here is public business. I wrote to the court early on to ask, was Commissioner Price's indictment a hoax? Then when Governor Perry was indicted and now Ken Paxton, considering the totality of the crimes that I endured, makes those indictments look like petty crimes compared to what I've humbly endured, past, present, and continuing. And I want to say that I will be going because I was told that every book published in America is at the United States Library of Congress. The book that they took out, that came out the same year that I was looking at it, I'm going to travel there on tomorrow to see if I can find this book that was deliberately taken out of the law library that was assisting me in filing a due writ of certiorari to the highest platform of justice in America. It still will be done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and our next public speaker is Mr. James Dunn. I don't believe he's here, but Mr. James Dunn, Mr. James Dunn. All right, our next public speaker is Mr. Richard Sheridan.
I have a timer, Judge.
Great.
Yes, Richard Sheridan, 3817 Vanette Lane, Dallas, Texas. Again, emergency homeless shelters now. I've spoken on the pitiful condition of the Dallas homeless situation more than anyone else at the Commissioner's Court and at City Hall over the past 13 years. I was arrested at City Hall when Laura Miller was mayor, the mayor who began the cruel and unusual punishment of our homeless. Has the homeless situation gotten better or worse since 2005? It's gotten far worse, as our homeless population has more than doubled in the last 10 years. To me, the best things that have happened recently are the following: Tent City incident, the revelations from the Dallas Homeless Commission. James done great work, unfortunately he's not here, in getting hundreds of homeless to go to City Hall to confront the mayor. It was covered by the Dallas Morning News and a couple of other news outlets. My letter to the editor of the Morning News, which you have, and the pastor of the First Presbyterian Church has left Dallas in disgrace. He used to be on the side of the homeless, and then apparently he went to the other side. And this is the mayor's church. Here are some pertinent facts concerning our homeless situation, which some were revealed. Some were revealed during the Homeless Commission Forum. The chronic homeless 10-year program is nearly a complete failure. We got more chronically homeless out there than we did 10 years ago. The bridge, which was built at a cost of $23 million to primarily address our chronically homeless, is also near failure. It's made money for a number of people. It facilitates bad behavior. It was under investigation by DEA for prescription and illegal drug dealing, and Farmers Market Business Group has complaining about for years the blight on that area. What's the number of homeless in Dallas? A truthful number is certainly hard to find. It took me 3-4 years to find the number of homeless in the jail, and thank our great Sheriff Lupe Valdez and KRA came out with what the number actually was. And MDHA has been lying for years, saying it's 3,500, where it's really, now it's 10 to 12,000, which, again, it was revealed during the Homeless Commission's meeting. I went over the cost already, $200 million a year in jail and health care costs, Parkland Hospital and private hospitals. There's a lot here. I can't go over it all. At least 2 city council members show their frustration with the consequences of shutting down Tent City. We shut down Tent City, and another Tent City pops up. It's like the whack-the-mole game. Hit one Tent City, and another one pops up. Why do many homeless prefer Tent Cities over staying at the 5 shelters in Dallas? All the Dallas shelters abuse the homeless and have curfews that don't work for the working homeless. So again, pay me now, pay me later, or pay a heck of a lot more later. I really believe that the county should get into take control of the homeless situation. There's no question about that, because you're already paying 4 times what it would cost, and the city is basically hopeless unless they can make money on the homeless. So thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, it is now 11:01. We're going to have the Parkland budget. Here, you're still going to get to speak, but we got something that's scheduled at 11. We'll now hold the budget hearing for the Dallas County Hospital District. Will the Parkland representatives please come forward, whoever wants to.
Just for the speakers that are left, there's still 3 speakers left. Ms. Crenshaw, Mr. Hopkins, and Dahani. Yeah. Just so y'all know, y'all will get to speak.
Yeah. We have to take this at 11. This will be short, and you'll speak. Because we had to fill in time until 11 because it's posted. But you're going to get to speak. Go. Mr. Hopkins, no, I can't. But please, if you'll wait a moment, you'll be able to speak. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I don't know if we have the PowerPoint loaded, but you should have hard copies of it. Do you have that copy?
I don't see one.
Yes, we do.
You'd already distributed those to us.
Okay, great. So I'm going to walk through it's a 5-page PowerPoint. Do you have that? So essentially, the first couple of pages reinforce the priorities that we were addressing in our 2017 budget, and had to do with an emphasis on ensuring quality safe patient care, our supplemental payment programs, working to optimize our funding through the Medicaid program for our essential services. We are continuing our work in our corporate integrity agreement. We're in now the 4th of 5-year corporate integrity agreement, and then significantly this year we will be transitioning into the new Anderson Clinic on the new campus and implementing our strategic plan, which is going to be an ongoing piece of work over the next several years. Significant challenges that we will see in 17 first have to do with the supplemental payment program in Medicaid. We are going to see a roughly $27 million decrease in our supplemental Medicaid payments in 17 compared to prior year. The healthcare costs in general are rising. We're in a competitive labor market, and so we are seeing wage pressures that we're going to have to address in this budget as well. Our payer mix has, in the last quarter or so, shifted a little bit to where we were just under 50% of uninsured. Now we're seeing just around or above 50% of uninsured in terms of our patient activity. We are budgeting a 10% increase in our pharmaceutical costs because of the specialty drug and other drug pricing increases. We continue to see demand for access that exceeds our capacity in a number of areas, and ongoing issues with our days cash on hand. We will see a nadir, if you will, of that in November at about 27 days cash. The industry norm
there is anywhere between 150 and 200 days cash. So we don't anticipate problems paying our bills, but it is below industry norms in our days cash on hand.
Norms 150-plus days.
Cash, correct.
Yeah, that's 4 months, and you got less than one.
When we bottom out, as we, our days cash will increase with the tax revenue, and our low point in the year, it'll be just below a month.
Yeah, but that hasn't, that's not traditional, because this court has made, the prior courts, we made sure that at least when the presentation, that at least when they came and made the presentation, or went back into their archives, they had 90 days cash on hand.
Right, and there was a cash reserve that was built for the purposes of the new facility, and now that we've been paying the bills on the new facility, we're reaching a new steady state there, and that'll take us down to about, at our low point, about a month days cash. So those are our significant challenges for 17, and let's see. If you go to slide 4, I believe, that's the income statement of where we project to be for 17. And the significant changes from last time we were here to this current income statement projection is that we were at about $79 million deficit projection then. We're at $38.8 million deficit projection today. That consists of a $54 million positive operating cash flow margin. So we expect to be positive from a cash flow perspective with enough cash to cover our capital needs. We'll have $40 million in capital needs for 17. We'll have $54 million in operating cash flow margin. Our net income will be a loss of $38.8 million, and that is due to the fact that we will not fully fund our depreciation. This is the first year that we've got the full depreciation for the new hospital and the new clinic in there. That's a $105 million number, and we don't anticipate fully funding that. So this budget will allow us to maintain services at the current level where we are today, and fund our capital needs. Will not allow us to fully fund reserves, to replete reserves, to fully fund depreciation.
How does that allow you to fully, how many people are you basically extracting out of your workforce?
So to make the change, I'll go through just the major differences between the $79 million where we were last time and the $38 or $39 million where we are today. The biggest ones are related to personnel and the tax rate. We made a tax rate adjustment from 7.5% to 10%. That was worth $13 million. And then we reduced just over 300 positions that were in the workbook from the $79 million. That got
300 vacant positions or 300 positions overall?
300 total positions, which consist of today roughly 2/3 unfilled and 1/3 filled. So it's 19 million in unfilled positions and another 8 million in filled positions. That filled position is a moving target because every day we're continuing to, we'll hold vacancies, and we're trying to manage that with attrition as best we can. We do anticipate we won't be able to fully manage that with attrition, but right now we're at about, of the 300 positions, about 2/3 are unfilled.
Did I ask you for, I requested an org chart. I did not get that.
Yes, you should have that now. Mike sent that over this morning.
I give it to Daryl and pass it out and do the hard copy.
So,
well, first of all, I asked for it last week.
Commissioner, I had a list of items you requested that I thought we met your request. We sent you some material. Org chart was not on that list that I saw. If it was, I apologize. It was an oversight, but you have it now.
I asked you about VP and above and the demographics.
Right, we sent that.
The org chart. I got that.
Correct.
I got that, but I did not get the org chart. And it's very difficult, in this meeting to be able to get the org chart and make the relationship of the VP and above demographics.
We included the direct reports and the indirect reports in the table that we sent you. It was not in a org chart fashion, but that was one of your requests to have the number of reports, I believe, and we include that in the table.
So you got, of the 100, and how many field positions you're talking about?
Roughly 100, again, we took 315, I believe, out of the workbook, and just over 200 of those at this point in time are unfilled, and just under 100 are filled. And as I said, that filled number is continuing to go down because we look for the opportunity to move people into vacant positions when we can.
And how many VPs and above do you have? 60?
60, I believe, is that number.
And you got 60 with an average in the organization of 2.8 years in the current position. You said they got 7.3 direct reports, 7.3, and then you got an average salary of $282,000. How many of these individuals are in that 100 that you're purging? You got departments out there with 7 people reporting.
The way we manage to identify positions is we've gone to each department, we've looked at those departments and how they compare to their benchmarks, their industry benchmarks, and we've worked with managers in each of those areas to identify. So it's going to be a mixture across the board. It goes from VP to frontline person.
Let me ask the question again. We got 60 VPs that have apparently 7 people or less reporting to them. It looks like they're making on average of anywhere from a minimum of $282,000 all the way up to about, I guess, $400,000 or $500,000. How many of those individuals are in that cut?
We haven't finalized all of our position because we haven't turned our plans in yet. That's still in progress. I can tell you it's going to be across the board. Every level of the organization is being looked at, and so I would expect we'll have people from every strata in the ultimate plan.
So you tell me in the industry standards, a 7-person report.
Commissioner, those are direct reports. So as you see there on that table, there's a direct report and an indirect report number. And so under those positions, there are obviously a number of others that are reporting up to those VPs.
I can see I read writing very well. The point of the matter is that in this organization, in fact, you've got more now, and where, is Dr. Don here? Because you got more now than you've ever had in terms of Parkland and its reporting. Why you've increased it?
I don't believe that number's increased in the past 2 years.
Maybe I look back a little further than that, but you've increased it.
I don't believe that number. I can get you that information, but I don't think that's true for the last 2 years.
And so you're telling me that these 60 positions are also on the table?
Everything has been on the table to look at where we can extract efficiencies. That's correct.
And of the 100 and something you have now, are any of them here?
Any of them here?
In terms of VPs, I'm talking VPs and above now.
Like I said, that there's not there are positions identified that we're still working to try to make that 100 go down to 0. I don't think we'll achieve that, but we're working to consolidate positions as we speak, and so that number moves every day. So are those positions in play in that planning? Absolutely.
So that's $8 million that you have on the 100 position. You say you expect it to go down to 0?
No, I didn't say that we were going to eliminate all the VP positions. I said...
No, I didn't say, no, that's not what I said. I said of the 100 positions, which equivocates to about $8 million, that are filled. Am I correct?
What I said earlier is we're continuing to work that number. I don't expect that we will totally achieve that reduction to attrition. So I expect that there'll actually be filled positions that we eliminate before we're done. but we're trying to reduce that as close to zero as we can. And we've made great progress just over the past month or so in that. Because that ratio used to be about flipped. It used to be about 2/3 filled, 1/3 unfilled, and now it's 2/3 unfilled, 1/3 filled.
So if you take the $38 million you have, bottom line, and you're able to take that 100 down to as close to zero, however, you got to add it back in.
That's $8 million, correct.
I got it. I believe me, I do math fairly well. So that's what I'm saying. So now you got to add that back in.
What?
You just said, no, you just said he's taken out. In this 38 million, you've got your unfilled positions. You got, what's that, 19 million?
Correct.
Okay. Filled positions, 8 million.
Correct.
Okay. They're already plowed into that bottom line, correct?
Correct. We have turnover every month. We've got turnover, and so what we're looking at is when we have turnover, there are still positions every month that go vacant that we have to fill that are outside of those numbers. And so when we see those opportunities, we're trying to fill those by eliminating.
Last year, what has Parkland's turnover rate been?
It's 15.7%, which is 3% lower than it was a year ago today.
Okay, so 15%, and if you do it over a year's period, so let's say you turn over 1.5%. You're not expecting to be able to calculate. I'm calculating 1.5% turnover. You keep telling me you're going to do turnovers. So let's do it at 1.5%. Tell me what that bottom line is supposed to be by the time you get back here on September 20th.
I'm not following the question.
I know.
Commissioner, I don't understand. I mean, they've got 105 in depreciation. They're not going to use that 105 in depreciation. They could get down to zero and still be able to solve the $38 million problem regardless. I mean, because of what they've already allocated, set aside for depreciation.
That's my point. So they're playing numbers games.
Well, yeah. They've always had flex. We've known Parkland's always had flex.
I got
and
that.
This is where they're going to do the flex. Now, the flex is going to run out at some point in time because of what's taking place with the other reimbursements that we're getting. So, at some point, going forward, 2, 3, 4 year, their objections.
You don't even have to go.
Well, I'm talking about how does Parkland become sustainable financially in the future? And something's got to give. Medicaid, some other things.
We scale our services to try to provide maximum services we can with the resources that we have. Are there more services that we could do? There absolutely always are. There are almost 600,000 uninsured people in Dallas County. And if you applied an average insurance premium to those individuals of $6,000 a year, that's $3.6 billion. Our budget's $1.6 billion, and only half of that goes towards uninsured. And so you can see there's a big gap there. So what we do every year is we try to manage the resources we have for the benefit of the population, and we try to target it so that we're not building huge reserves, because if we're building up a big reserve, that's money we could put into services. So we try to strike it as closely as we can to a break-even budget with the ability to fund our capital needs, because we have more demand for services every year than we can meet with the resources. So, and when we look at positions, it's the same story. If today we are slightly above the national norm, our benchmarks on FTEs per adjusted occupied bed day, which is our industry benchmark. So we're trying to get closer to that. That number went up over the past several years. We were in a systems improvement agreement. There were 499 action items we had to meet. We moved into a new hospital. We added staff to do that. And so now we're trying to bring us down to a level that we think is sustainable. And so we're at 6.7 FTEs today. We're targeting 6.5, which still leaves us a little bit above the 50th percentile. But the point is, there's more demand than we can meet with our resources, so we're trying to be as efficient as possible. We're trying to generate as much revenue as we can to meet the demand. And at the end of the budget, we try to hit it as close as we can to what's responsible and will leave us with a positive cash flow.
But I don't even know why you talk about generating as much revenue. You know, basically, and I know only about 40% of 400 million is coming from taxpayers. It's going to be a little bit more this year because of, well, depending on where we settle out.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm still dealing with you on the management side. Okay, not what you got coming in. It's what you're doing when it comes in. And 60 VPs. 60 VPs. At an average of $282,000.
Every one of those positions is benchmarked by an external salary consultant that compares it to the industry. And believe me, if you look at that on average, we are not above the 50th percentile for those positions. Those are all objectively benchmarked against the rest of the industry. So we don't just pick those numbers.
Well, do you have that survey?
We do have that survey.
I'd like to see it. And I hear you continue to talk about, so the foundation, who reports up to you?
Correct.
And they got 19 reports coming up through the foundation that reports up to you?
That sounds right, yep. We have $12 million in our budget this year from the foundation. That was another one of the adjustments we made to go from the 79 to the 39 is to include an additional $12 million from the foundation.
Well, you broke this down, and I appreciate it in terms of ethnicity, gender. But what's interesting is that you did not break down the direct reports.
In terms of the demographics of the direct reports, that's just another layer. We can go another level and get that to you.
So, gotcha. I've
just
got
have
some
a very quick
questions
question.
going back to the budget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. You have some budget questions?
You didn't think these were budget questions?
I've got some questions beyond the org chart and that. I want to go back to the presentation when you're done, but go ahead and finish.
I'm
okay.
not able to
You guys had a quick question on the, if you calculate out the percent of the net ad valorem taxes to the total budget, it comes to about 36.65%, is that right?
That looks right.
Is that up, down from past years, or as far as?
Well, it looks fairly consistent. You look at prior year, it was 535 on 1.5 or 1.6 billion. If you take the nursing homes out, if you took the nursing homes out, which we did this year, it's probably very similar to
I was
last
just
year.
looking at the taxpayers.
Yeah. I can tell you what happens. I mean, here's what we know about our budget. Half our patients are uninsured, another 30% are on Medicaid. So both of those buckets we depend on Medicaid to fund those two buckets of business, which makes about almost between 75 and 80% of our business. From 2011, I know this because HMA just did a report for the state for the waiver. From 2011 to 2015, Medicaid payments increased 1.9%, so less than 0.5% a year. We know healthcare costs have been rising at roughly 5% a year, and so Medicaid has not kept up with it. And in fact, out of that 1.9% increase, the vast majority of that was in the supplemental program, not in the base rates. And as you know, the county, we provide our own match for the supplemental payment programs. And so the Medicaid program during that time period has essentially been flat, while healthcare costs and demand for services and our utilization has gone up. And so it would not, how do you make up that difference? Well, the one thing that has inflated is the county tax, so that's gone up. And then we've done a number of things to reduce costs to try to become more efficient in the process as well.
But, you know, you said you were going to continue. I did ask about, and I'm still having, I don't know why, it's public record, children's contract and UTSW's contract. That's public record.
But we spoke about that. I sent you some information on it.
I saw the AG's, it's public record, and I still don't have it. I have no numbers with regard, so where is it in here? But I'll tell you, tell me where it is in here in value.
The children's contract is not going to be in here because that's a contract between our health plan and children's for services. So that won't be included in these numbers. And the UT contract would be included in purchased medical services.
And what is that value?
That total value of that contract is 70 million.
70? Come on. Is that what y'all got plugged in here, 70 million? Last year it was more than that. So are you telling me it shrank? Beg your pardon?
85, I'm hearing, so about 85 million, sorry.
It's about the same as last year.
What was it last year?
Okay, it's roughly flat. We can get you the specifics,
Yeah,
but
but doctor, I asked for this over a month ago. I asked for this and children. I see your lawyer standing up. So you're trying to tell me why I can't have that children's?
it was the specific rate information that we explained.
Just give me the value. What's the
The
value?
the total value is, we can absolutely give you that, and as you know, our medical services come in two forms. There is the contract that we have with the school, and then there is a burden relief arrangement that is separate from Parkland, that other hospitals enter into a contract with UT to provide services, many of those services on our campus, and that's a separate contract apart from Parkland. Our portion of the work with UT is, and we can get you specifics today, but it's roughly 85 million, and I know in aggregate that number is flat from last year to this year.
And with those other services, are you telling me we're not looking at mid-100 million plus with the other services?
Those are around 130 million or so.
Okay, so it's 130 million
Correct.
plus
The contract that we have is 85.
85 million. I don't know why I've got to pull that. I've been generating these emails. I mean, just tell us. So you got 135 million that you have to pay, and then you got 85 million. And that doesn't count children. I know it's a different plan.
Right.
Just want to know the numbers.
Gotcha.
Is there any plan, I look at your strategic plan, is there any plan for closing Old Parkland? I got the numbers and what it costs to operate it.
Yep. So we've been doing work on that this past year, and there is a plan, or we're working on a plan to close Old Parkland. The first phase of that will be moving into the new Anderson Clinic, and a significant amount of what we have there now is clinic services and some administrative space, a significant amount of administrative space. In the original design of New Parkland, there was an administration building that was in that design that did not get built, and so there's a significant amount of admin space that's left on the old campus. So the first phase of vacating Old Parkland, if you will, the second phase, the first phase was moving the inpatients. So the second phase is going to be moving a significant amount of that outpatient clinic service to the new Anderson building. After that, there will be roughly 300,000 square feet of occupied space, and so we're using CBRE to do work with us to identify and outline the short and long-term kind of benefits of either staying in that space and renovating some of that space to remain, leasing new space for those services or people left behind, or building new space. and either a leasing new space or building new space would be associated with a sale of property. And so that's the work that we're doing right now, and it's ongoing.
Even with the volume increase, you're telling me there's 220 million, 85 million is direct park, 135 million, that's ancillary services that are purchased to supplement Parkland, 220 million. You're telling me that that is consistent, even with your increase, with your patient increase?
That it's, yes, we made a point this year, because we were in towards the end of last year, or this current fiscal year, we were trying to reduce our expenses this year. We know next year is going to be a challenge as well. We're trying to reduce expenses, and as part of that, we're working with the school to limit any increase in in those contracts for next year. So that is true, that's correct.
Now, am I going to get the children's bottom line? I don't care what the program. I'm going to get the bottom line with that.
Yes, we can give you aggregate numbers there. I'll do that, I apologize.
Anything else? Any other, when I go back to when we're done with anything else, when I go back to this chart.
Go ahead.
Okay, so going back to top line, looking at balancing the budget, at the full 10% tax burden increase in the uncut rate, we're essentially, it's your position that without cutting services, you can balance this through looking at things internally, and you're good to go.
Correct.
Okay. With taking the budgeted rate, what we thought we were going to get on May 22nd, the only difference is the 54 number would go to 40, still no cuts in services, could still be good to go, but you'd be less 13.
We would do that we would not plan on cutting services, that's correct.
Okay. Now, and just for the record, effective rate on Parkland, you're not good to go, correct? You cannot balance that.
That's correct.
There, okay.
That's all. In terms of reductions, we would have to, at that point, we wouldn't be able to fund our capital expenses, and we'd be looking at reducing some of our offerings.
Okay. Yeah, I think you just said it, but just to rephrase, when I say good to go, what I mean is you'd have to cut services at the effective rate.
The effective rate is we've modeled the 10% is $53 million. So with another $53 million reduction off of this, would take us essentially to zero on an operating cash flow, so nothing to fund capital.
Therefore, we'd have to cut services or be outside of our...
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Suri, it's not an easy budget again this year, but nevertheless, I do have to give kudos to Parkland and your leadership team for three things: maintaining the quality of services, not cutting them, and of course, continue to, move on with the corporate integrity agreement and maintain capital needs. Overall, when it comes to the nitty-gritty, that's the name of the game. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This takes us back, unless anybody's getting further, this takes us back to our public speakers. The rules are still in effect, and our next public speaker is Ms. Cassandra Crenshaw. Good morning.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Crenshaw, and I reside in Commissioner District 3. In the last several decades, Parkland hospitals, Green Oaks, Veterans hospitals have been cited for their shortcomings in the care of the mentally ill. The National Association for the Mentally Ill fight each and every day to try to remove the stigma of mental illness. And that includes holding accountable the government that's in charge of the public and safety welfare of all citizens. I'm here today, I have been here in the past complaining about Democratic Party officials using mental health as campaign fodder when the person in question was of the opposite party, but didn't say one word when then Democratic State Representative mental stability was brought into question by her husband, a former candidate for County Commissioner District 3. But I'm here today to ask for the resignation of Marvin Earl from the Parkland Hospital Board. Marvin is a member of the Executive Committee of the Democratic Party. He's also a graduate of Dallas County Sheriff's, Democratic Dallas County Sheriff's Citizens Sheriff Academy, and he's received several certificates from Homeland Security. He has been sending out emails, thinly veiled threats, taunting the fact that he is a second-degree marksman. He's graduated from the Sheriff's Academy. He sends us pictures of him in a firing range. He says that he owns 30 guns, and he's very condescending, and we are concerned about these threats to dissenting voices in the Democratic Party. And he sends these late at night to over 300 people, rants and rages about that. And so we're concerned about that. We have had discussions among the Black Caucus of the Democratic Executive Committee. I wanted to go public. I have notified Parkland Hospital and their attorneys about our concerns on these, and they've asked, some of the people asked to come to the Commissioner's Court first rather than make a big spectacle about it, because we're in hopes that he didn't, that this was just a lapse in judgment. However,
Ms. Crenshaw, you're out of time.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Can we get 5 seconds to say one word?
If there's an agreement of all 5, you can, but,
Beg pardon?
and there's not. So our rules, Ms. Crenshaw, we stop folks at 3 minutes, and you're over 3 minutes. But
Okay.
thank
So
you.
you'd rather that we go public with it, Mr. Price?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Let's go.
All right. And I'm sorry. Let's go to our next, we still have more speakers. But thank you for your comments. And our next public speaker is Mr. Jaish Kumar Dhanani. Mr. Jaish Kumar Dhanani. Mr. Jaish Kumar Dhanani. And our next public speaker is Mr. William Hopkins. Go ahead.
Because that's what they just gave out. Jim didn't want a copy of it, but
I don't need your comment.
huh?
You heard.
What you gonna do about it then?
Okay.
What you gonna do about it? Remove me for what? Cause you say something?
No, you said I didn't want a copy. Damn it, I ain't got to take a copy.
All right. Gentlemen, please,
No,
please.
you please, you get control of it.
Please. All right. Sir, no back and forth between the two of you. Now we're in our 3-minute conversation or 3-minute speech about whatever you want to speak about. So go ahead, sir. Take your 3 minutes. Stay within our rules of decorum, please.
Okay. And what I just gave you, Judge Jenkins, is a copy of the lawsuit where Fred Byron, Russell Bud, Dorothy Blood, and Lisa Blue come to West Dallas in Rep. Spears and Pat Spears. John was at the Boys Club, 84, 85. They brought us to the Boys Club. That lawsuit, what you got right there. The city sued. The next sheet, the first sheet is where the city told me that they didn't have nothing to do with it. They weren't involved in the lawsuit. that they didn't have nothing to do with it. That's the first sheet, Judge Jenkins. The second sheet is what a city sued Doris lead plant. They lied to the people telling us, they didn't know I had the lawsuit, the second sheet. They didn't know I had the second sheet when they told me that on the first sheet that they didn't have nothing to do with it. The ministers brought us, the city sued. So Fred Bauer and Russell Bud tell the city, well, look, they moved the white people. Look, they moved the white people first. Let me start this over. Let me start up. I don't know about the clock. You know I don't know about the clock, so we ain't gonna even trip on the clock. They moved the white people out of the housing authority, Judge Jenkins, in the 70s. That's the first lawsuit. They come back and they moved the Hispanics out of the housing authority in West Dallas. That was the second lawsuit. The third lawsuit, John and Reverend Spears and Pat Spears brought us to the Boys Club. They pick-paid the people, told them not to tell nobody. Gave them a letter, told them not to tell nobody. And you don't have to pay their taxes on the money. You can get welfare and you can get these checks. This was Reverend Spears and John Wiley Price and Pat Spears and them were telling the people. They were slow. Fred Byron told me that the people were slow. They didn't know what they were doing. And this is why me and Fred used to chop it up. Chop it up means we talk all the time, Judge Jenkins. That's what chop it up means. Me and Fred used to chop it up all the time. He told me the people were slow, and this is how he got to get away with, and he paid everybody. You took Hillary Clinton over Russell Bud, Lisa Bluehouse for fundraiser. Fred and them paying Bill Clinton, they paying Bill Clinton and Hillary. You took them over there for a fundraiser, so you can't say, I'm fixing this, so you can't say you don't know nothing about it, because you took Hillary Clinton over Russell Bud and Fred Byron them house. They stole the money from the people in West Dallas. And John and Rum Spears and Pat Spears helped them steal the money. The FBI ain't gonna do nothing. But thank you. Could I get a minute like the other white guy did? You gave the other white guy a minute. Now I'm finna ask you for an olive branch and see if you can do me like
Mr. Hopkins, please take your seat. All right.
Thanks, John. You too.
Mr. Hopkins, please leave I need you to go ahead and leave now.
I thought John had something to say.
All right. Help Mr. Hopkins out, please. All right. Mr. Hopkins, I'm ordering you to leave now. Thank you, sir. All right. And this concludes our business for today. We're going to recess for our closed session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Government Code as previously posted. Any action as a result of the closed session will take place in a subsequent open session, and we'll begin that closed session in about a minute.
But if he was to stand and the sign, he'd be mad.
Necessary court's adjourned.
All distracting.